Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. It's the last of the long forms of the day, so I will take this opportunity to ask that if you are yet to subscribe, please do so. The channel is growing marvellously with all the help from people just like you, and if you hit that subscribe button, we grow more, we get the voices out there, we go wider, we go further, and we hopefully will start putting an end to this madness. Now, I have a story here, and I just want you to do this. Just smell. Can you smell that? I'll tell you what that smell is. That's the smell of fear. That's Humza Yousaf humming with fear. Because he knows that he is in a very bad place because of his hate laws. And so now he's going to bring in a misogyny law. That is fine and wonderful. So apparently you can be guilty of misogyny if you say something against women. No androgyny law, though. There's no protection for men. Here's the thing. If the hate crime bill had included sex, as well as all the other characteristics, you wouldn't need to rush through this desperate attempt to placate people by having a misogyny law, which also is divisive in and of itself. I'm going to suggest this misogyny law would be a hate crime, as it doesn't protect men. But wait, it does, provided that those men pretend to be women. Because Humza is saying that transgender men, strange men in frocks who call themselves Susan, will be counted as women under the Misogyny Act. So poor old blokes get nothing yet again. The mentally ill get more protection than real women, and nobody cares. This is why this hate bill is so bad. Now, he's only mentioning this, of course, because he knows he's got this big discussion and vote tomorrow, and he wants to try and make things look less farcical, I suppose is the word, than it currently is. So he's proposing to say, oh yes, we're bringing a law outside of the Hate Act that will stop women being abused, but will allow men who pretend to be women as well. What about men? Nothing. No, nothing. Why is he so scared? Why is he changing this all of a sudden? And why didn't he want women and sex being a protected item within the hate crime law? We know, I've already mentioned it today, it's because if sex was protected, then you wouldn't allow strange men, regardless of how they wanted to dress, into women-only spaces. And that's not what he wants. He really is a weird, degenerate filthmonger, isn't he? Let's have a look and see why it's just another joke of a law from a joke of a man. Here goes. So transgender women will be protected under misogyny laws, says Humza Yousaf. So he doesn't really want to protect women. And here's the thing. If you've got a woman calling a trans man a woman, a man who pretends to be a woman, and insults the man, will the woman be guilty of misogyny against a man? How can he possibly find this is acceptable? All that woman has to go to court and say, I'm being charged with misogyny. Yes, that's a man. End of story. And they'll go, well, it's androgyny then. No, there's no crime of androgyny. It's one of those genius works, isn't it, from a man whose brain just doesn't comprehend reality. Humza Yousaf has confirmed transgender women or men will be protected under any new misogyny laws in Scotland. The First Minister said anyone affected by misogyny would be covered no matter their biological sex. I don't think he understands what the word misogyny actually means. The Scottish Government wants to introduce a bill to tackle misogyny before the end of the current parliamentary term in 2026. He told BBC's Good Morning Scotland programme, women and girls will be protected. No, they won't. Unless you are going to have a safe space where no men can enter regardless of how they dress, then you will not have a protection for women and girls. He said trans women will be protected as well, as they will often be the ones who suffer threats of or threats of disfigurement, for example. I think you need to look at the figures to see that it is the trans that are the ones that do the most sexual attacks. You really aren't protecting women and girls. You're protecting the rights of trans people to attack women and girls. It's a very strange position to take. All you need to do is look at the evidence, you twonk. When a trans woman is walking down the street, when a man is walking down the street and a threat of R is made against him, the man making the threat doesn't know if they are, doesn't know if it's a man or a woman. Are you kidding me? Big hands, Adam's apple, looks like a sack of spuds with a dollop of lipstick on. Honestly, pigs in lipstick, man. Take a look. If you can't tell the difference between men and women, all I'm going to say is don't go to Thailand. Unexpected item in the bagging area there, son. Anyway, the First Minister added that the bill would be proceeding with urgency and pace because he's desperate to try and head off any kind of rebellion against his hate crime act. He said that this was due to the number of women who have raised concerns over sex not being covered within the recent hate crime act. Simple. Put sex into, make an amendment and put sex into the hate crime act. Not going to do that though, are you? Oh, no slow way, Bob, because that opens up a whole new can of worms. Might even upset the Greens. You're too cowardly for that. He added that the Scottish Government would not spend an inordinate amount of time deciding whether to follow recommendations of the Cass Review into gender care, which is his code way of saying, Jesus, no, we can't acknowledge it even exists, bury head in sand, run away from that problem, because it's hard. The review, led by consultant paediatrician Dr. Hilary Cass, looked into the provision of gender identity services for children and young people within the NHS in England. In her final report, Cass made a series of recommendations, including advising extreme caution in prescribing puberty blockers and hormones to the under 18s due to the lack of high quality research. And when asked about this, Humza is yet to speak. He's saying that it's not off the table, but he's not confirming whether it's doing it yet. And no one has actually addressed the bigger provisions within the Cass report. They literally do not want to talk about it. It's too problematic for them because of the way that the Greens have their stance on this matter. He said, the First Minister said it was wise to take time over the findings of the 400-page report and insisted decisions on next steps were matters for clinicians to decide. No, they most certainly aren't. These require laws to stop things happening. If you were just to let clinicians decide things, the world would be in a terrible place, Dr. Mengele. He added that all recommendations within the report would be considered, including a ban on children's puberty blockers, and there wasn't a case to close the Sandyford Clinic in Glasgow. So he's saying there's no case to close the Sandyford Clinic, even though the Cass report said there most certainly is. This goes to show he is pro mass sterilisation of children. He is pro emotional and mental damage to children. He is pro the monstering of these children by these mad doctors and by lobby groups who want to use children as cannon fodder in their war. And he's quite up for that. He does not concern himself with the safety and futures of children, so long as he can just carry on cutting ghoulies off and making a whole generation of eunuchs so that they will soon not be able to breed, so that another group will outbreed them very, very quickly. He seems to think we're fools, but we are not fools. And I'm coming up. So there you have it. You can see the panic. Oh God, we could put sex into the hate crime bill, but we're not going to because problems. We'll create misogyny and then say men can be the victims of misogyny because we're going to pretend that misogyny doesn't mean what it actually does mean. And we'll be able to prosecute women for insulting men under the guise of misogyny. Hey, welcome through the looking glass to Humza Yousaf's Mad Scotland. And still not offering any protection for men. It's a bugger, isn't it? Thanks for watching. We've made it. End of the day. Go and have a brilliant Tuesday evening. I am going off to do some shopping because I've been left with my chores. However, it must be said, after tomorrow, those chores ease. My wife's away with the girls on a holiday to, begins with B, Barcelona, Benidorm. And I've got 4 days on my Jack Jones. It's going to be great, isn't it? Till next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.